Good evening and welcome to a great episode of Bahrain Today, where we bring you the latest topics and events. Join us in today's episode as we cover some great initiatives and a music segment that will please your ears. Before we get started, I'd like to welcome you all to further contact us on our social accounts shown on the screen. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Your home should tell the story of who you are and be a collection of what you love. Interior design is making the best possible use of the available space. Here with us in the studio is Noor Al-Thani, founder of My Concept by Noor. Noor, thank you and welcome for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it actually. It's fun to see you again.
Oh, it's
How
my
are
pleasure.
you?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Thank you for bringing these lovely pieces. I'll enjoy looking at them, especially this one. I'm into green nowadays.
You're into green
and it's my letter, right? So tell us about yourself and about the concept.
Well, My Concept by Noor started about, let's say, 5-6 years ago.
All right.
It started when I was at uni, all about the calligraphy, the Arabic initials and letters and names. It was, and basically my work at uni was all about Islamic art, Islamic work. So I wanted to implement it in that way. So I decided, why not have it as something as at home, as an accessory, instead of just having it on the wall as a frame or as a poster or as, let's say, a pillow, anything else. But I wanted it to be different. So I decided of having the, first of all, my first piece, as you said that you liked, was the letter meme.
Yeah?
Yes, it was one of my pieces.
And why meme?
It was one of
Why not Noon, maybe by Noor?
To be honest, really, I've never done something for me that is Noon, only by orders from my own clients, really. It was Ain as my first letter, then it was Meme as my first letter. It was just a testing. So it's a bit personal to me. I've never given it away. No one can ever have it.
All right.
So it started as a letter, and then I decided of moving onwards to the names. And I tested them, and this was actually some of my first names as well. Yes.
What about like some, not a quote, like love or peace or something like that?
To be honest, so many people do ask me about it.
That would be nice.
I actually reject the idea. I go with the names and I go with the letters. It just stays as the concept of Noor. I don't go with different wordings. Okay, maybe the names of Allah, maybe mashallah, or these kind of ideas, which I actually have in mind coming soon, for Ramadan.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go out of that. This is the idea of My Concept by Noor.
Fair enough. All right. So when did your journey start? What was your inspiration?
My inspiration, to be honest, let's be really, really realistic. Interior design wasn't my option. Yes, I wanted to study architecture. But it was never meant to be.
Why not? Didn't work out?
Didn't work out. Things just became difficult.
All right.
So I went into the second option as interior design, something at least a bit related.
Right.
So once I'd pursued that study, it was actually interesting. I liked it.
Cool.
It had my personality, going out much, having designs, color drawing, all of these kind of ideas. So I liked it. I continued it, and then I pursued it as a career, a home career.
Cool. So do you stick to the customer's taste or to consult them?
I actually do communicate with my customers. The client's ideas are very important to me, because sometimes the client has a different vision than what you do. But in the end, it is my touch, because they might want a specific name or a specific writing, but
just like I suggested earlier,
just what you suggested. So what I do is communicate with them to make them understand the whole idea of this lamp. Like, for example, some might ask for the same handwriting or the calligraphy of the name Zainab, but it might not work on a different kind of name.
Right.
So it's very important for the client to listen, to understand what the interior designer is saying, because I have the vision. I'm the one who's drawing the whole idea. Putting it all together is not easy. Let's be honest. You've carried it and you've seen how heavy it is. It's
and are these wood or
they
what
are
are
wood.
those?
Yes, they are wood.
They're wood.
They're
and
wood,
these
and
are
the
marble?
bases are marble. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's a bit
Beautiful.
very difficult to put them all together. So it's very important to communicate with my clients, and I do take their ideas into consideration. It's very important.
Right.
But in the end, I suggest what I think is right, because in the end, it's my name that's going out to their houses.
Definitely.
Yes.
And that noon is very special. It kind of gives it a.
This is the only noon that I carry out all the time.
I know, right? So how much do colors play a role in the interior design?
Colors are very important.
Huh.
I will ask you a question.
So how do I look now?
Exactly, that's what I was about to say. I'll ask you a question. What do you think of a necktie that would be black?
Yeah, it's meaningless, right?
It's
dull.
meaningless, exactly. So when you hit the colors with brightness, with something very cool, warm, or bright, you'd feel fresh, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm wearing black. I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it. I'm wearing black, but it kind of depends on your personality.
Right.
Sometimes black is more
not even
classic.
personality. It depends on how you feel.
Exactly. Okay, I feel fresh. Let's be honest. I feel fresh, and I'm very happy to be here. But sometimes I like the color black. It just gives me more confidence on what I put on.
All right.
Yes.
So what advice would you give to the other designers?
To all the designers out there, think out of the box.
Think out of the box.
Enjoy interior design. Interior design is all about creativity.
Right.
Think of different ideas. Don't stick to something that already exists.
Okay, fair enough.
Because let's be honest, talking about myself as an interior designer, I always wanted to do something different. And my lamps, to be honest, is one of the things that's not existing in the market nowadays. So I wanted to pursue it this way. So be creative. Let people know who you are.
Right.
Let people know that, oh, this is her name, this is her work. It
So you
stands
said
out
let
this way.
people know who you are.
Yeah.
So who are you?
I'm Noura Thani. I'm an interior designer who likes Arabic calligraphy. I like Islamic arts.
Okay.
Yes, I like simplicity.
Right.
I'm a very simple person. I like colors, but I'm a very warm colored person.
So how were you inspired by Islamic art? What
Islamic,
made you love it?
What made me love it? Let's start with the history of Islamic. Back then, Islamic wordings, some of them, let's say, did not even have dots. How would you read them?
True.
Okay, how would you read them?
I don't know.
You wouldn't know how to read them, right? Exactly. So it's just the idea of how it began and how it is becoming now. The calligraphy, how it changed. Right now, as you can see, the name Zahra, it looks much different.
Yeah.
The way that the wording is.
So are there names for these fonts? Or?
Exactly. This is the Raqa. This is the basic calligraphy. This is Kufi.
Okay.
But this is the very artistic Kufi. This is
So where does Kufi come from originally?
Kufi is way back, let's say, from the Parsi, from the Islamic. All the calligraphy, they're all beginning from the same region, but they changed as time changed. People have changed from being very basic to being extremely creative. Like this does not exist back then. It existed right now. Kufi, if you go and Google what Kufi is, you're going to see that it is completely different than what you're looking at right now.
But they call it Kufi now.
They call it Kufi now. It is Kufi because some of the, let's say the dots, okay, they represent the Arabic letters, the Arabic wording or the Arabic calligraphy, but it does not exist on the Kufi.
I understand.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. And that font?
That is Zahra. Zahra is the Raqa. This is like the very basic, you know, when you started back in school, when you started to write Arabic, it's a bit difficult.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Noor, who inspired you to be who you are today?
The inspiration of who I am today is my mom.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. She actually, I still remember this day when I wanted to pursue interior design. She used to say that I've dreamt of being an interior designer. And now you're doing it.
Wow.
So I've always wanted to make her proud by pursuing it and keep on going with that. Yes.
All right. So how do colors play a role in adding positive vibes to any room?
Any room. Let's say I have a plant. If your room is extremely dull if the colors are neutral colors that, let's say they're all beige, they're all brown, wouldn't you want to put a little bit of a green or a plant next to you? It would change the whole thing. Like, let's say this table in front of me right now, we do have a plant, right?
Yeah.
So it changes a bit of the color of the table,
Right.
doesn't it? Or a lampshade, right now the maroon, doesn't it break the color a little bit?
Definitely, yeah.
So the colors is really important and plays a huge role.
Definitely. So, Noor, before we conclude, any future plans for you?
My future plans, I'm moving on to different collections. I'm moving on to different items. They're all in progress. Inshallah, by Ramadan, everything will be out. Everyone will get to see.
Beautiful. Best of luck then.
Thank
you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Noor. Luxury is in each detail. Viewers, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Who better to introduce you to new music than the music lover himself? Let's take it away with Abdulrahman and another one of his musical segments.
Singing ultimately requires a great amount of passion, dedication, and drive. It is something that is therapeutic to many people, irrespective of their background. Today with us in the studio is Sandy, a singer from the United Kingdom known for her smooth vocals over a wide variety of different instruments. Today we're going to be hearing her vocals over some acoustic instrumentation, two elements that go hand in hand. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you for having me.
How's it going?
Good.
All
yes,
well?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, perfect. So, I mean, just right off the bat, I want to ask you, what inspired you to get into the field of music in general?
I started singing when I was like 3 years old, maybe. Playing piano when I was 3, singing. My dad was always singing and playing 12-string guitars in the house.
Okay.
So I often just sat and watched him and was kind of mesmerized by it all. And also basically due to the fact that I was a very shy little girl, and I didn't know how to speak out much, but I knew that I could sing.
So singing was always embedded within you and your family, I guess, like in your surroundings as well.
Yeah, exactly. My auntie taught me piano. My dad plays guitar and sings.
Okay.
A lot of my family are piano teachers and musically orientated. And my mum, she's one of eight girls in her family.
Wow.
They all write poetry and books and sing, and yeah. So it's just, it was such a just a general thing that we would do every single day in the house when I was growing up.
So even if it's not like exactly music related, you do have people in your family that are poets, that write, so it's kind of just goes hand in hand, you could say.
Just a creative melting pot.
Creative batch, huh?
Exactly, yeah.
Awesome.
We're all very creative.
That's awesome.
Very spirited, you know. I mean, I'm from Scots-Irish background, so you often get very kind of passionate, creative people, you know, from that neck of the woods.
For sure. I mean, and just building on to that, what would you classify your main genre as, if you could?
I guess it's, you know, I've been through so many different styles, and I started off as a very kind of folk rock musician, and I went into more bluesy stuff, and I never wanted to make volumes 1, 2, and 3. You know, I always wanted to experiment musically and explore, you know, different genres. And here now in Bahrain, I want to use like local instrumentation on the next record and everything. So it's a mixed bag really, but I guess it's music with soul. That's all I can really
I always tell people that, I mean, whenever you're making music or anything creative, if it doesn't come from the soul, it's not for you. I always tell people that.
Exactly.
So, I mean, being that it comes from the soul, sometimes it may be hard to kind of implement your soul on records. The sound isn't right, the mixing and mastering isn't right. So what were some challenges that you faced when you started off?
Well, I've been in both worlds. I've been an independent musician and you know, worked from the grassroots organically, and I've also been signed to Sony and been on a major label, and
that's awesome, and
sold a fairly few million records. So I've seen both sides of the coin. I can say that you know, you do kind of give up some of your creative freedom when you become part of a machine, so to speak.
Systematic kind of.
But the machine has a lot of power and money and drive. So the challenges, I think, for me were being able to kind of hold on to my own creative freedom in those moments. and versus the challenges of, you know, doing it from a grassroots level, you know, building your fan base organically.
For sure.
For me, I was very fortunate in my timing into the industry because I was the first musician actually to webcast a concert.
Wow.
And this was back in 2006. So
awesome.
At that time, it was a very poignant time, digitally speaking, you know, and
for sure.
what I did caught a lot of media attention. So for me, I had like almost like free PR.
Wow, yeah, I mean, because right off the bat, you just started off, right? Which,
you know, was what basically kind of put me into, sort of catapult me into being successful. So it's kind of, I think it's very important to be ahead, always be one step ahead of the game.
For sure.
You know, like now everything is about TikTok.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of challenges along the way to put a label together, find a distributor, you know, finance it, figure out how you do it.
Yeah.
But I think that the best piece of advice I could give anybody is that learn to do everybody's jobs.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can't rely on everyone, right?
Well, that is one reason, and also you know when people aren't doing the right job for you. So for me, you know, I learned how to tour manage. I learned to drive the bus. I learned the lights, the sound, the business element, the legal side of it. And I know when people are trying to pull the wool over my eyes, so to speak, you know, so learn everybody's job, basically.
And that's awesome because, I mean, like, as a musician myself as well, sometimes someone else would be doing an element that I'm just not so comfortable with them doing because it's not the sound that I'm going for, it's not the vibe that I'm going for. So that's awesome.
And you know, for me, the most success I ever had in songs was the rawest format.
Most organic,
you know,
natural you.
I mean, my first single was literally just vocals and drums, and it was very successful. Because, you know, it spoke to people, it was true, it was poignant, and it was raw.
For sure.
And for me, personally, I get lost in the layers of production. And for me personally speaking, because that's not the case for everybody, but for me, I just like to write honest music that speaks to people. And I think, you know, nowadays, we went through the era of like massive productions and like, you know, overproducing everything. And we've kind of come back around, the cycle has come back down to simplicity. And, you know, anybody can just put a song together and it's cheap enough. Yeah. And you have platforms, you can just fling them out on Spotify 100%. And Deezer and wherever else. Yeah. YouTube accounts, and you know, you can definitely find an audience organically now. You just got to eke them out and keep them loyal.
Nitpick your audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome because, like, I have a friend, I mean, he literally does everything from his phone. So the recording process, the production process, even the distribution. So, I mean, power of technology, I guess.
You can do it all, really, you know, be your own boss.
And linking on to that, let's hear some of your content. What are you going to be playing for us today?
Well, I'm playing this, it's called November Rain. I put out a record, actually, it was my 5th album, like called the Covers Collection. Okay. And it all came from me doing a cover of Guns N' Roses' November Rain.
All right.
And now it's very popular now. This song almost has like 3 million YouTube views.
Wow.
My version of it. And it literally is just a guitar and a vocal.
That's awesome.
And I think a Hammond organ, and that's it. So
solid.
Yeah.
Well, go for it without further ado. Looking forward to it.
When I look into your eyes, I see a love restrained. But darling, when I hold you, don't you know I feel the same? 'Cause nothing lasts forever, and we both know hearts can change. to heal the pain. But lovers always come, lovers always go, and no one really knows who let it go today. We're walking away. If we take the time to lay it on the line, I could rest my head just knowing that you were mine. Oh, mine. So if you wanna love me, then darling, don't be afraid. Oh, I'll just stand up walking in the cold November rain. Do you need some time on your own? Do you need some time all alone? Everybody needs some time on their own. Don't you know you need some time all alone? When your fears inside you and shadows still remain, I know that you can love me when there's no one left to blame. So never mind the darkness, we still can find a way. Ooh, just don't you know that nothing lasts forever, even cold November rain. Do you need some time on your own? Do you need some time all alone? Everybody needs some time on their own. Don't you know you need some time all alone?
Wow. I'm just speechless here because when you said raw and genuine, that was really reinforced in what you just played right now.
Thank you.
For sure. So speaking about this song, tell me what inspired this in particular.
When I was growing up, you know, I would listen to my dad's records, my mom's records, and also my brother, you know, when he was 3 years older than me growing up. So he went through this phase of listening to Guns N' Roses and Metallica, and, you know, and I did too, you know, and had like Doc Martens and Nirvana t-shirts and everything else, because that was my era, you know. So I was just so obsessed with like Axl Rose and how he played piano like this amazingly, and the song itself is just such a great song, you know. There's nothing like it. And it was actually my brother who said, you know, you should cover that, you know. So for me, it reminds me a lot of growing up and being a teenager, and
it takes it back to the days.
Yeah, of like being kind of, you know, in my room, moody or something.
For sure, yeah, the hormonal upbringing.
Yeah, exactly. So it reminds me a lot of my upbringing as a teenager.
Awesome. And I mean, you mentioned quite a lot of artists and a lot of names, but I would like to ask you, who would you consider to be your musical role model, or any role model in particular?
Well, I When I was 14, I got into my first band, and it was like a professional band. I kind of fell into it randomly, a bunch of much older guys.
Okay.
And they were in their like 40s and 50s, and I was just really young. And so they introduced me to all these bands like Fleetwood Mac and the Eagles, and I fell in love with like 3-part harmony and like heavy percussion, and that had a big influence on my music and how I love to record.
For sure.
So Fleetwood Mac actually was a big influence on me musically growing up, and I was in this band till I was 18, you know, so it was a long time. And yeah, so Fleetwood Mac, and then Stevie Nicks in particular.
Okay.
And also a lady called Buffy St. Marie, who, I mean, I doubt you know, younger generations would know her, but she was part of that whole like singer-songwriter era of Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan and Joan Baez and all these kind of, you know, people who wrote songs about society. And yeah, she did this one song called "The Big Ones Get Away."
Okay.
And then when I made my fourth record, she sang on the album with me. So for me, that was such a cool thing.
It was an accomplishment as well.
Yeah,
I feel.
people always say you should never meet your idol because you'll be disappointed, but she was such an awesome lady.
So it wasn't a disappointment.
No,
That's
she's
awesome.
just, yeah, it was really cool to meet her.
Yeah, I hear you. And I mean, just linking on to that straight off the bat, what advice would you give to aspiring artists? People that want to meet their idols, people that really want to get the views on YouTube and all those platforms. What advice would you give them?
I think speaking from my own experience, and now having been like professionally performing since I was 14, so that's over 20 years now. And you know, it takes a long time to figure out who you actually are as an artist. And I think you have to be really patient through that process, you know, and if you don't get it right, and you can't get the right lyric, or you can't write a good song, or you don't feel like you're playing the guitar well enough, or whatever, you know. It took me like 10 years to be able to play blues harmonica. So it does require a lot of patience, and I think you have to just kind of enjoy the process, you know, of making music. And for me, I find it so hilarious when I look back on, you know, some of the stuff I did when I was like younger, 15, 16 years old.
You're like, oh, that's cringeworthy or something.
You know, it is, but it's cute. So I think, yeah, you know, it's going to take some time for you to really fall into your feet. And especially as a singer, it took me a long time to build the confidence to even realize what I was capable of.
For sure,
you know? And when I started making records, I sound like this person who doesn't quite know her voice yet.
Okay. But that's normal though, that's natural.
Yeah, you have to just, you know, roll with it and enjoy the process of kind of cultivating your own sound and your own style. And you know, I think if you want to be a songwriter as well, there's so much that you can dig from in terms of inspiration.
It's everywhere,
it's
essentially.
Like, yeah, exactly. There's so much going on in the world right now.
For sure.
That you could write about. You know, it doesn't all have to be about broken hearts.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that cliche broken-hearted love song.
And I think that for me, that's how I connected with my audience, and that's the songs that they love the most.
Okay.
They're the ones that just talk about real life stuff.
Just a real life scenario.
Yeah, it's really that simple. So, but do enjoy the process, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And hey, just to conclude, is there any message you'd like to convey to the public, and where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Sandy Tom, T-H-O-M, Sandy actually _Tom, because one of my fans took my actual name.
They took your username?
Sandy, so you can find me Sandy _Tom. And also one of my other, well, basically the other biggest passion of my life is animals and animal rescue, and I do a lot of work in that field here in Bahrain. So you can look up BARC, which is an organization that I now run with a group of board members and volunteers, Bahrain Animal Rescue Center. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed that performance.
Thank you.
And I hope to see many more million views on your videos.
I hope so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
That's all for tonight. A huge thank you to all the wonderful guests who joined us on the show. As always, we love hearing from you. So if you want to comment, ask any questions, or be part of the show, reach out to us on email or Instagram. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great night.